Okay, let's unpack this. In today's complex world, rules and regulations are just everywhere, right?
They really are, shaping everything.
Yeah, what we buy, how businesses operate. We hear compliance a lot. And maybe you think of, I don't know, a checklist.
Or just someone ticking boxes, yeah.
Yeah,
Making sure people play by the rules.
exactly. But today's deep dive, it isn't really about those basics. We want to uncover the sort of subtle skills and the strategic thinking that really elevate the role of the compliance analyst.
What makes a good one truly indispensable?
Right. And we're pulling our insights today from a pretty interesting recent article. It's titled Compliance Analyst Interview Questions with Scorecard.
And our mission here, for you listening, is really to give you a quick but comprehensive understanding of this position, its strategic value, how to spot top talent.
Whether you're maybe looking to hire someone for this role or perhaps thinking about it as a career.
Or even if you're just curious, how do organizations keep things on the straight and narrow with everything changing so fast? This deep dive should give you some key insights, a good framework.
So let's maybe move beyond just the basic definition. Strategically, for a company, what's the real value a compliance analyst brings?
Well, at its core, yes, they ensure the organization meets its regulatory and legal requirements, but I like to think of it less as a gatekeeper
Okay.
and maybe more like the company's immune system.
Interesting analogy.
Yeah, constantly scanning for threats, adapting to new pathogens, educating the body's cells, basically maintaining health from within.
So they need to know the laws, the regulations.
Absolutely, the ones relevant to their organization. And then critically, they monitor what's happening inside the procedures, the activities, to make sure it all lines up.
And it's not just about avoiding fines, you're saying.
Oh, far from it. That's often overlooked. It's really about building trust, managing reputational risk, honestly, ensuring the organization can survive long term.
Right. Because one slip up.
Exactly. It can destroy shareholder value, customer trust, everything. So the compliance analyst is kind of this quiet architect of the company's resilience.
That's a powerful way to put it, the immune system, the quiet architect. Okay, so for such a critical role, what kind of background are we talking about? Does the article mention specific qualifications?
It does give some guidance. Typically, it suggests at least a bachelor's degree,
Yeah.
maybe in occupational health and safety or something related.
Right.
But it stresses that, book smarts aren't enough. You need practical application. So things like internships, apprenticeships,
Real world experience.
definitely.
Mhm.
Previous work in similar roles is pretty crucial too. It's about having both that theoretical foundation and knowing how things actually work on the ground.
Okay, so it sounds like it's not just about their expertise, but how they weave that into the whole company.
Precisely. Integration is key.
So we know who they are, generally. Let's get into what that guarding or immune system function actually looks like day to day. Are there common misconceptions about the role the article helps clear up?
That's a great point because, yeah, it's definitely not just sitting at a desk reading rule books.
I imagine not.
Their main job involves actively identifying and mitigating non-compliance risks, and also proactively promoting a culture of doing things ethically and legally.
Promoting a culture.
Okay. How?
How?
Well, on a given day, they might be reviewing existing policies. Are they still effective? Or they could be educating employees on new requirements.
Training and updates.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they're constantly monitoring regulatory changes. And that's not just like skimming headlines.
No, I bet it's an avalanche.
It really can be. Legislation, international standards, industry best practices, it all evolves.
Hmm.
So they track that, and then they develop and implement new procedures based on it.
And working with other departments is key, you mentioned.
Absolutely crucial. They have to work closely with, well, pretty much everyone, operations, legal, HR, IT, to make sure compliance is baked into business processes, not just tacked on.
So it's not siloed. It has to be embedded in the company's DNA, like you were saying earlier. Does the article touch on how they handle, say, resistance or getting buy-in? Because changing culture is hard.
It implies it through the breadth of their duties.
Mm.
It mentions things like evaluating documents and procedures, developing or maintaining compliance plans, even conducting inquiries if something looks off.
Investigations, essentially.
Sometimes, yeah. And they're always monitoring developments to stay ahead. Plus, they often guide the rollout of new regulations internally, give advice, provide training.
So it takes a specific blend of skills.
It really does. Meticulous attention to detail, strong ethics, but also really good communication skills to actually achieve that buy-in and make change happen. It's demanding.
Which brings us back to finding the right person. Given everything they have to do, getting the hiring right seems absolutely critical. How does the article connect this to the interview process itself?
It makes a very strong connection. The article flat out stresses that thorough preparation for the interview is a crucial step, non-negotiable, really.
Why so much emphasis on prep?
Well, it explains that preparing questions beforehand helps the interviewer stay focused, evaluate candidates fairly using the same yardstick for everyone, and remain impartial.
Makes sense. Avoids bias.
Right. And it also helps create a better atmosphere for the candidate so they can actually show you what they can do. Plus, honestly, it just saves valuable time in the interview itself. Good prep pays off.
Okay, and the article provides specific questions. They looked pretty insightful. Which ones really stood out to you as getting to the core of what makes a good compliance analyst?
Yeah, they're well designed. They probe different facets. For instance, asking someone to describe a project you worked on that had a positive outcome.
Okay, what does that reveal?
It shows their problem-solving skills, sure,
Yeah.
but also their ability to actually deliver results in a real-world setting, not just talk about it.
Practical application again.
Exactly. Or this one. How would you handle a situation where the existing rules were inadequate for dealing with an issue?
Ah, that's a good one. Tests adaptability.
Right. Adaptability, critical thinking under pressure,
Mhm.
which, let's face it, is vital when regulations are always shifting.
Definitely. What about the integration piece? Making sure policies actually get implemented and communicated.
Yeah, there were questions targeting that
Hmm.
specifically, like uh, how do you ensure that company policy or procedure changes are correctly documented and communicated?
Gets right at process management.
It does, and their clarity. Another strong one is how do you stay current on changing regulations and industry trends? That hits on continuous learning, being proactive, absolutely essential trait.
Then collaboration.
Yep. Describe how you interact with other departments to ensure compliance. That shows their ability to work with others, influence them, and maybe the most critical.
Go on.
How would you handle a situation where a regulatory violation had occurred?
Oof. Yeah, that's the stress test.
Totally. It assesses their integrity, how they handle a crisis, their approach to fixing things. You learn a lot from that answer about how they'd perform when things go wrong.
So, great questions. But it's not just asking them, is it? It's evaluating the answers. And the article has that scorecard tool.
Yes, the Compliance Analyst Candidate Scorecard.
Mhm.
And what's really interesting there is how holistic it is.
Holistic how?
It goes way beyond just ticking technical skills boxes. I mean, sure, it covers educational background, prior work experience, and specific qualifications experience,
The essentials.
the essentials. But then it digs into problem-solving abilities and communication, and it specifically calls out team building under communication. It recognizes this isn't a solo job.
Good point.
And crucially, it assesses organizational fit. Does hiring this person actually move the organization forward?
Mm.
And directional fit, is this role a good step for the candidate's career? Is it a step up, sideways?
So it's looking at the bigger picture beyond just can they do the task.
Exactly. It pushes for a complete assessment.
Yeah.
Are you hiring for current skills and future potential? Do they fit the company culture? It's much more rounded.
Okay, so wrapping up the main points. We've got a much clearer picture, I think, of this multifaceted role. It's strategic, requires integration.
Definitely far more dynamic than just following rules.
And we see the power of using really targeted questions in interviews, plus evaluating candidates comprehensively with something like that scorecard.
And if we just sort of zoom out for a second, connect this to the bigger picture, this role is constantly evolving.
How so?
Well, the article we used, it's dated April 1st, 2025, which kind of underlines the point itself, right? Information has to be current.
Because the regulatory landscape isn't static?
Not at all. It demands constant vigilance, constant adaptation from these analysts to keep their organizations not just compliant, but actually, ideally, ahead of the curve.
Which leads us nicely to a final thought for you, our listener, to maybe ponder. In a world where these regulations are always shifting, always getting more complex, how can organizations move beyond just reacting to compliance issues?
How do they foster a truly proactive, forward-thinking culture around compliance?
Driven by individuals who really embody all those skills we've been talking about today: strategic thinking, adaptability, communication, something to think about.